bus. Dirty sneakers and $40. Trying to find a better way in life, but we surrounded by thieves and murderers. Eat pizza and burn burgers. Silver servers that don't serve us. Razor blades and stash burners. Bricks on bricks on bricks. Seems like the whole world to turn a blind eye to all of these project kids. Section 80. I've been on the block watching all the cops getting wavy. TV, what have you believe? We sitting back, fat, black, and lazy. This is when all that we got is us. This is when handouts are not enough. Sports programs, art programs, job programs getting cut. And all I'm trying to do is feed my babies, and these killers here is just locking us up. Rocks in the pocket, running out of options. Bodies on the carpet, money in the bank. I don't think there's anything I can do to stop it. The 45, the clip is inside, and I'm looking for reasons to pop it. My predicament is shocking. Living here is very toxic. It seems like everybody's watching, ain't nobody doing nothing, it's alarming. Voted for Obama, we ain't got no fathers. Rappers are martyrs, put our faith in the revolver, getting chased by helicopters. Monsters are all around us, I'm running from my own problems. I can't even pay the bills, I can't admit what is real. I'm just rapping what I feel, the whole block behind bars. And who will remain this tough? This tough, will remain this tough. Nobody, 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 no. And who will remain this tough? This tough, will remain this tough. Nobody, 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 no. There ain't no jobs, ain't no supermarkets in here. Only check cash and cell phone shops filled with chicken and beer. Every block is all that you fear. Getting shot will make you famous. Walking down the block is dangerous. Projects pile us on strangers. Jails and pile us on strangers. Back in the day they used to hang us. Now they throw us up in bars. Gold teeth, rhyme a little and the world is
It's Truck from Above the Basement, Boston Music and Conversation. Indie hip-hop artist, rapper, songwriter, and contemporary painter, Boston, Mass native Moe Pope is a talent. His lyrics reflect his story, touching on community, fatherhood, love, and the human condition. Formerly with Bay Area-based hip-hop band Mission, he returned to Boston to form Electric, also known as Electric Company, and later formed Project Move. In 2010, with Boston producer Rain, he released the critically acclaimed Life After God, and is currently collaborating with 2016 Boston Music Award Producer of the Year, The Arcitype, with his project Still Gold. You just heard a song called Tough off the album Torch Song. A bit later you'll hear Sunrise from My Monday Morning Music, and at the end another song off the album Torch Song called Torch Song. So here is our conversation with Moe Pope, recorded at Woods Hill Table in Concord, Massachusetts. I was here and I look outside and I see a Moe Pope looking around like he's lost. I'm like, is that Moe? I'm like, it is Moe. And I saved his life.
You did save
me. Or at least I got him some fries.
Oh, you really got our listeners' attention now. How did you save his life?
I got him some fries and a beer. That's really all you need, right?
It worked.
Yeah.
Now I'm ready for Concord, yeah.
You ready to do Concord or what?
I'm ready to do it. I'm here.
It's good to have you here.
West Concord. West Side? Let's do it.
Makes it sound very hip.
Yeah.
West Side. Sorry. God, I know, it's embarrassing. So Mo, the first time I ran into you, I mean, actually, I didn't run into you. I saw you from an audience at Isotope.
Isotope, yeah.
Yeah, at the State of Live Music.
Oh yeah.
It was one of the third ones I'd been to. You probably been asked this a lot, especially since you wrote the initial letter. And we don't have to get into the whole thing about it, because I'm sure you mean.
Let's talk about it. Let's do it.
I'm sure. I don't know if you're sick of it, but you wrote a letter because there was an award show that had dropped the hip hop
all black music
category.
All black music,
so
not just hip hop.
So it's hip hop. So explain.
Hip hop, blues, jazz, R&B. Yes. All of it.
And you wrote a very honest, and you didn't mince any words, really. You wrote a letter. Did you expect that kind of reaction when you wrote that?
No, because I speak my mind a lot, so I didn't know why people gravitated to this more than any other time. I mean, the thing is that if you thought it out a little bit, you would know that it was the wrong decision to do. That's not what you do, and then call your award ceremony the New England Music Awards, because then it's not indicative of the whole of New England. Call it the Rock Awards, call it the Metal and Hardcore and Punk Awards, or call it the Alternative Awards, or something else. But you can't have music in New England without black music, you know. And I think that's what resonated more with people more than anything. You know, music is great because it's not about black or white. It's about music. But when you take out jazz, blues, hip hop, you know, that turns it into something else. The thing that's more sad more than anything is that nobody noticed. Nobody noticed that there were no brown people in the room. Nobody didn't bat an eye at it. And like
at the award show?
Yeah. So I was like, you know, the fact that no one noticed, you know, obviously when I look at like a band like Walter, Sickert, and the Army of Toys, I think that's a good representation of kind of what America is. You know, it's diverse sexually and racially. They're very different people. You know, so when I see a band like that, you know, I think of them as a good representation of what things are going on in the world. But even they didn't really notice what was going on. You know, they didn't notice. Like, he admitted that he did not know that these categories were cut and that there were essentially no brown people in the room besides, like, people in his band, you know. Yeah. So you can't call it the New England Music Awards and not have us. Can't do that. You know? It's not New England then, you know.
Right. I mean, no matter how you slice it, it's black, brown, white. I mean, the fact is that the music, that's a huge, gift
bummer, period,
to the Boston community of those genres.
Yeah.
So we were just talking to Charles Haynes, who's a drummer.
Charles Dog Haynes. Woo! So good.
Do you know Charles? Yeah.
Oh yeah, man. So, I grew up with Charles Dog. Like when he started playing, when he played at Berkeley and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We were around during the same house parties and stuff. So my upbringing and me rapping and stuff like that was totally synonymous with Charles Dog Haynes. I was able to go to house parties where he was playing, and I got to spit over him playing the drums.
He was talking about Wally's and hearing a lot of jazz, and how Wally's is, like you said, shows that it's about the music and nothing else. It's blindfolds. Black, white, doesn't matter.
Oh yeah, that's fantastic. But without the black demographic in the early days, there would be no Wally's. That's the thing. You know, there wouldn't be scores of white kids that want to play there and go to Berkeley and play jazz if it wasn't for the brown people that came before it. You know, so why take that out of it? Hip hop is the biggest music in Boston, period. We can't argue that because there are facts to go behind this. The biggest stars as of right now today are hip hop artists, the hip hop artists who have come out of Boston. If you're saying that there wasn't enough turnout or there wasn't a good, accurate representation of the music, well then maybe there needs to be some type of change in how you select. That's what I would have done as a business owner. That's what I feel like you do. If things aren't working, you switch the format, you know, and he chose not to do that and just go with what he knew. And if you're going to go with what you know, then just call it the I'm going to go with what I know awards, you know, rather than.
That just rolls off the tongue, man.
Yeah. You know, I don't know
why I didn't do that to begin with.
Sorry. Can I interrupt you 1 second?
No, that's fantastic. That's us.
It's me and you. I'm going to text it to Charles right
now. Yeah, thanks for paying attention, Ron.
I'm texting Charles. I'm going to have him call in
as
FaceTime.
If we're bringing,
we'll have Charles come in and he can
if we're bringing Charles in, that's okay.
He and Mo can talk.
Me and Charles, I honestly don't even know if Charles remembers me. It was a big deal for me. Charles is like a jazz head in the gospel. He was into the church,
right?
You know, so when I was younger, so it's like. But I'm a music fan. I'm a music lover. So when I heard this dude, I was like, who is this dude? Charles Dog Haynes. I was 19 years old even younger, 17 years old when I seen him. So I was like, yo, this guy right here is one of the illest drummers I've ever seen. Then I met Adam Deitch, and I was like, this guy's one of the illest drummers I've seen. And then I saw them battle.
Oh,
you know, I saw them battle.
You saw them do a drum to drum, a drum
probably
off.
About 2 years later, I seen them do a drum off. And when I think about it, it's like the Acrobatic was there, Mr. Liff, who's a Boston icon. Marco Benevento was there, who's big. I don't know if you know Marco Benevento, but he's nasty.
We're learning. We're trying to learn.
Pianist, he's a huge artist today. So I'm lucky that I grew up in Boston during that time, because Boston had no music, didn't really have a hip-hop music scene until that time, and we got to see all this crazy stuff happen at the same time.
It kind of grew, right? Like 20 years ago?
Yeah.
Because we talked about, at the 99, we were talking about Atlanta a little bit. Do you think they came up in parallel?
Atlanta is definitely well ahead of us, because, I mean, you think of Atlanta artists, I can think of huge Atlanta artists. I mean, Outkast being, I mean, there's no Outkast from Boston yet, but we're getting there, I think. We're getting there.
There's no Ludacris yet?
No. There's no Ludacris, there's no Outkast, there's no Andre 3000s coming through that door.
But it's growing, though,
but,
right?
It is growing. I mean, Cousin Stiz, Michael Christmas, Slane, obviously, is still doing great music. Mr. Liff just popped back into the Boston scene, you know, after being away for a little while. But
the musicianship, dovetailing into that, I mean, you work with a lot of others, which is something I like about your style. It's the fact that you've had different producers you've worked with, but also different singers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I wonder if you could talk about that collaborative process. And is that something you've always liked to do, or is that a newer thing?
Yeah, I mean, I started in a band called Mission. The Mission band consisted of a Latino bass player who grew up in Wisconsin, Ashland, Wisconsin, very small town, a Filipino classically trained pianist, and another Latino beat machine guy, Woodstock, that's my man, Peter Alvarado, and then me and Rashawn were the vocalists. And and Max McVitie, who grew up in the Berkshires, was our drummer. Very diverse. We all grew up in very different parts of the country, and badass musicians. I think I got spoiled because that was my first time, you know, so I just assumed this is how you do it. This is what you're supposed to do.
How old were you at the time?
I was 19 years old. It was the year that my daughter was born. Was also the first time I recorded my first song.
You're primarily a vocalist, right?
I play a guitar.
Yeah.
I play guitar, yeah. And I'm lucky enough that some of my my writings have made it to the record. But I wouldn't call myself the best guitarist in the world, but I can do enough that I can write.
Do you play a lot?
Less lately, but I'm picking it back up. I actually picked it back up last week. Been tinkering with a few things, but yeah, I like to write. You know, I don't think I'd ever play it on stage. I'm not good enough, but I can write a song with it, and that's really what matters to me.
Arcitype talked about how you will throw back ideas to each other.
Yeah.
Do you find that you can have a line or a rhyme or something that just sort of works for you first, or do you sort of take what he or others have given you and you place rhyme to that?
Definitely more that.
More the latter.
You know, yeah, more the latter. If I hear something that makes me feel a certain way, I'll write to that the way that it makes me feel. There's some songs that obviously if you feel like you can, you know, run through a brick building, and then there's some songs that make you feel like, all right, well, this is about the hardships of growing up. Then there's some songs that it's like, all right, this is a sunny day, you know? And I think that's more what works for me, rather than I very rarely write without having a beat or some type of something to drive it. It's Monday morning music.
Yeah, Max with him. We could chill a bit. I'm staring at the baby who lusciously lick her lips, who let the snare tell her where the hips go, who bubble into this flow. Shake it up, girl. In the club till you vibing in your own world, and you forgot about your dude and your homegirls. Ain't no problems, we got more that you can pop to. For city kids who tweeting my latest haiku, and put your ass on it, about to let it go. I'm in the hootie with a groupie letting L's blow. It's for the workaholics and scholars, thick babies taming Rottweilers, pretty ladies making short dollars, holla back. Sip a bit of wine and reclining my chit chat. This is Monday morning music for the fathers who do their job and put the brakes on a nigga with a problem. Moe Pope.tumblr.com. Boston, fuck off if you're not from.
We cut the sunrise. We cut the sunrise. We cut the sunrise. We cut the sunrise. We catch the sunrise. We cut the sunrise in our eyes.
Yo, I'm writing my name in graffiti on the wall.
Hoping when I'm gone that my people will recall my letters to the world over beat breaks. Hold them all accountable, especially the DJs. But I ain't tryna start no fight with a silly kid privy to the stereotypes. Might've had a neck knocking, pen on paper and MCIB. God sent me to humble them. Hymns in the church, verse 2, last chapter. Word pornographer, lyric haberdasher, mastermind in the flesh, the fresh stick blaster. So out of this world, people think I'm on a NASA hovercraft, mastering my way through space, looking for another alien to take my place.
So you'll have music, melody, or beat, or all of the above that will inspire your lyrics?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. That's more
You get a
of how
feeling.
I like to do it, yeah. And that's even with working with Rain and Head Nod. That's the guy from the band Mission. That's really how I've always done it. You know, I don't think I know any other way to do it. Although I can write a poem, but I don't think placing that poem with orchestrated music does the same thing. I like to have the music tell me what to do.
We talked last week with Ruby Rose Fox, and then before that with Don Henley, about marrying the word to that note. I'm wondering, just excuse my ignorance here.
You
okay?
guys talked to Don Henley?
We did.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, we wanted to talk. It was Don Henley, Moe Pope. We wanted these. We had a big three.
Hey man,
Don Henley, Moe Pope, and
it's pretty cool.
Yeah. He was great guy.
It wasn't the same Don Henley of the Eagles.
No, it was Don Henley.
It's actually Chuck's barber.
Yes.
Who
I don't have a barber, man.
Oh, he doesn't have a barber.
Are you
He's
making
bald.
fun of my baldness?
What did you want me to say that was so
the marrying
eloquent?
of the note to the. You may say it better than I do.
By the way, the Advil's really
Kicking
freaking
in.
right
You took
now.
4 of them, man.
Usually takes about 15 minutes, and then
All right. So what did Don say about marrying the note, the word to the note, right?
right. So
Pull your head together, man. Pull it together.
no, Chuck's right. What Don said was putting not just the word to the melody, but it was the actual word to, like you said, the actual note meaning. So a certain phoneme, like Ruby talked about, would be, I'll give you an example, microphone. You know, you'd have microphone, and then one of those phonemes in microphone would connect with a certain note, and that note would resonate with somebody.
So my question is, I mean, you're all about words,
Yeah.
right? Does that kind of explanation of marrying the word or the phoneme, you called it, right? Is that what it's called? Phoneme, excuse me, to the note. Does that resonate with you at all? Or is it really just a feeling for you more and you're just kind of going along with the flow of the sound that you're hearing? Or?
I start more than, like my words are more like drum patterns. So it's like, I know in Brazil for sure, they don't allow you to use the instrument unless you can say it. You know, so if you're a drummer, you know, they make you scat like like, you know, before you ever get to play. So if you can't say it, they're not going to let you play it. That's how I get my words. Like, I use my words kind of like the pattern of a drum. I place the words as if they're, you know, the beat's going. But if anything, it's more of a percussion instrument to go along with the beat, you know. So I could see how a singer could get married to certain chords and stuff like that, because there are certain sounds when you sing just sound right for you as a singer. I think as a rapper, it's sharp, stabbing sounds. The words are sharp. You're hitting it on the one, and you know, you don't always have to hit it on the one. It's like you can play around it more with it more.
That is what really, I think, separates some rap hip-hop artists from others is the lag.
Mm-hmm.
It is that percussive quality you're talking about, but it's it's almost like a repeating 8th note or 16th note that's a little bit on the lag.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always loved that about certain rap, because it's juxtaposed with, take your song Sunrise.
Mm-hmm.
I love that tune.
Thank you.
I will not even botch.
No, give it a shot, man. I want to hear you. I want to hear you rap.
I wrote something down here.
That's what I want to hear right now.
Well, you're not going to hear it. But I do love the fact, is it Tia Lee, right?
T. Lee. Like,
T. Lee.
Like, T. Lee.
it's a short song. It's only 2 minutes or 2.5 minutes. But I love how it's that, and then she comes into this very got the sunrise, and then you're back to you with that percussive, and you wait for that. The listener waits for that.
Yeah.
To me, it's hip hop pop. Pop sometimes has a negative, positive connotation, whatever. But I love that in your music.
Like I said, not a lot of people get to, especially with hip hop, we don't get to express everything that we want to do. There are certain stereotypes that people want to buy. There's certain topics that certain people want to hear every time from a rap artist. I'm lucky enough I get to rap about, for the most part, whatever I want. I don't really care what people in my neighborhood think, and I really don't care what people outside of my neighborhood think. I'm going to do the music that I want to do. And I don't think that much people get that opportunity to do that. I'm not married to making money for music. I just want to make good music. Obviously, there's plenty of cats in the inner city that are making fantastic music on their own, and they don't have to delve out into different sounds and stuff like that. But because I did grow up with indie rock and punk and stuff like that, I want to put that in my music, and I'm lucky that I can. I'm lucky that I can put, like, the different stuff. Like, I can do a hip-hop pop song, or I can do a hip-hop punk song, or whatever if I choose to.
Yeah, it keeps it interesting. It's obviously what you feel. It's your own creativity speaking. I do like the My Monday Morning Music.
Yeah,
was that too? Was Sunrise?
That's the record with Sunrise. That's the one we did before this last record, Torch Song. Torch Song is the new record, kind of a more political record.
Along those lines of what you were saying, I mean, drawing right from your bio, drawing inspiration from a diverse background of influences, you spent the last few years reinventing your craft and forming alliances to inspire your work.
Yeah.
So you're searching out people for inspiration, it seems, and you've obviously met some pretty amazing people.
Yeah, lucky.
Yeah, what is it about finding your inspiration from other people who are doing their own thing? What is it about the collaboration that you think is different from you forging in one direction yourself?
Well,
not that either is good or bad. I'm just trying to.
Well, hip hop is everything beautiful. It's a bit of this, it's a bit of that. It's every music. It's country. It's hip hop. They tell stories like country. They use jazz samples. It's been very sample laden for many years because we couldn't afford the instruments. So taking a record and taking the good part of the record and making a song out of the good part of a song, is how we would make the music. So it's very cheap to do. It's very easy to do. Anyone should be able to do this music. But as it's grown over the last 40 years, and we've realized that the makeup of taking somebody else's music, samples and stuff like that is not very lucrative, so you got to create. You got to find new things to set you apart. For me, what sets me apart is staying true to myself. When I was a kid, I had 9 aunts and uncles who would pick me up to take me to my grandparents every weekend. My mother has 9 brothers and sisters. So depending on who picked me up, for this 45-minute drive from Roxbury to the South Shore to see my grandparents, it depended on the music. So my aunt would be listening to the Smiths. My uncle would be listening to Wasp. My other uncle would be listening to Adam Ant. My other uncle would be listening to Prince. So depending on who picked me up is what I got. And I'm lucky that I had that experience because I never knew music to be any different. Like hip hop is not different than indie rock. Indie rock is not different than blues. It's all good music.
Well, we've heard a lot about influences and how that happens, but I've never heard that before.
That's amazing.
9 different brothers and sisters take you.
For the most part, you might have your mom and your dad's music, and maybe an older brother or sister. Yeah. Maybe you'd have 2 or 3 tops, different types of music you'd have, and that kind of influence.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what. I guess this is what happens when you have that kind of influence.
But you're in a car too.
You're in a car. You have 45 minutes.
It's not just like you're hanging out in the house. I mean, you're going to get a different dose of music each time.
Oh, yeah. I treasured it. I was a quiet kid, and I paid attention a lot. Yeah, I got lucky. I gravitated more of the punk and the rock stuff. Like, I loved Journey. I loved Rush. I loved that stuff as a kid. The Smiths. Love the Smiths. It's still, like, my daughter's name is Reese Morrissey Pope. Like,
really?
Yeah.
I'm a huge Smiths fan. I like
Her middle name is Morrissey?
Yeah. I got lucky in that sense because I don't know too many people that had that experience. So it's like I'm trying to put that into my music. Now, a young kid who's 13 and grew up in, let's say, Brockton, and has only been accustomed to R&B and hip-hop his whole life, his experience of what music is going to be completely different than mine. It doesn't make it any less or any more. You can make great music having that experience just as you can make great music having my experience.
When did rap start for you?
I was walking down the street. I had just gotten into this program called City Year. It's basically feeding the homeless. I taught little kids after school program and AIDS Action Committee. And you do this for a year and you get, a grant for school, college. My first night, I'm walking down the street in Harvard Square. This kid is beatboxing for money. He looks at me, he goes, "Hey, you rap?" And I go, "No, I don't rap." He goes, "Yeah, you do, you just don't know it yet." And I was 18 years old. Yeah, changed.
You remember who that guy is? Do you ever?
Yeah, we still talk to this day.
What's his name?
Woodrow Ferguson. He's a rapper in the city. He actually toured with Michael Ferrante for many years. Yeah.
He said, "You don't know it yet."
Yeah. So I went back there every day
That's pretty spooky.
so I could see him again. I stayed in my house and I taught myself how to rap because I was definitely influenced by just that statement. I didn't have anything. I didn't have anything to call my own, and I wanted something to call my own. Like, you see kids break dance and you see a kid play an instrument. You want to be that guy. You want to be that dude that can play the guitar. You want to be that guy that can sing.
But you're listening to Journey and Rush.
True, but that was always a part of me. But I always loved hip hop too. I can tell you right then, it wasn't my favorite. It wasn't my first love. Hip hop was not my first love. But with that being said, I'm lucky that I found it at the time that I found it. Because without it, who knows what my life would have been like. Changed my life dramatically just by walking by this one guy.
There's another moment that changed your life dramatically too.
What was that? Being here with you fellas.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Well, we like to say
it's a life changer, baby.
Yeah,
right.
Get to the point. What?
It's on your left hand.
Oh yeah, well yeah.
That was kind of like a breaking point, right?
Oh, with Rain.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sorry. Can we start over? What are we talking about?
Life After God.
Yeah, Life After God. So he's talking about the record that I made with Rain.
I mean, I read a little bit about that, but I don't know the details. And it sounds like when you mentioned that when you're 18 and you're in Harvard Square and that was a life-changing moment, that is just organic. I mean, that's just like you're a kid, you're impressionable, and wow, like you heard beatboxing, and then something spoke to you, but he also sort of drew you in.
Oh yeah.
But this was more of a career time that changed you with Life After God.
I did this band called Mission, and it didn't work out. I came home, after being in this band in California, and I did another group called Project Move and another group, Electric Company, just because I felt like I needed to be in a group setting because that was the only thing I knew. And then right as I was about to quit music, I met this young dude, Rain, who really didn't have anything going on. He really didn't have much of a direction. And I was like, well, in the end, I'm trying to quit, so let me just try this out anyway. And if it doesn't work, I could just walk away. He was young and ready to try something new, and that's, I think, a great thing. And I wanted to do something that was my own more than doing the same thing that other people were doing. And I think this was a turning point for the both of us. Well, I don't think it was. It definitely was. This dude sounded like Pete Rock and DJ Premier. He had very classic hip-hop producer sound to him. And we created something that was more of what we had grown up with, a indie rock, punk, hip-hop hybrid. I incorporate throaty screams into my music. I incorporate a lot of instrumentation. I try to keep a little bit of the punk and the rock vibes there on purpose for that reason. Radiohead changed everything for me. I loved Radiohead, so I was like, all right, well, how come no one in hip-hop is doing this sound? I want to add some of this. Why can't we use Moogs in our music? Why can't we be artsy just like them? Why can't we distort this just like they do? Try to take the things that I hear and the things that move me and add it a little bit more. And Rain definitely was one of the dudes that allowed me to do that. So yeah, that changed everything.
I'm curious, are you a big reader?
Yeah. I like to read. Not as much lately, and I just told my wife I need to read more.
Yeah,
now.
I tell myself that every day of my life. I need to read more. But one of the other things that that Ruby Rose said, she does a ton of research when she's writing her lyrics. I've written some songs. I don't nearly do that much. If it rhymes, then I'm psyched. That's the limit of my writing experience. But when everything you do is all about the word, that's such a daunting thing for me.
Yeah, it's a tough thing. Like number one, it has to rhyme because it's hip hop, and it has to sound good. You gotta sound cool, But
it's also a message too.
Yeah, and if you're good at it, if you're really good at it, you make sense. So it has to rhyme and it has to make sense. That's a lot of work.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's a lot of words too. It's not like a four line chorus might have a certain amount of words.
Yeah, a typical pop song is going to have probably a quarter of the words. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you're rapping, you're speaking fast, have a lot of things you're saying to fit into that rhythm or wherever you're placing it. You're saying a lot in a small period.
Saying a lot of stuff.
Yes, saying a lot in a small space.
But this is also the reason why people are like it's frustrating, because people say, oh, anyone can rap, and it doesn't get the credit that it deserves. Like, it's a lot. It's hard work to rap. It's hard work to write a song, period, no matter what it is. It's more words than the average song.
Well, and it's not only it's that, but tell me about freestyle.
I'm not good at it.
So some people, right? I'm not saying you're not good at it. I'm saying what is really fascinating to me is the correlation between freestyle rap and improvisational jazz, and it's the same analogy.
Oh, yeah,
because there's people out there that are virtuoso guitar players or piano players, and if you say play something in C minor, they're just a deer in the headlights, and there's no way that they could really come up with something on the spot.
Yeah,
it's the same way with hip hop too.
Yeah, I just think it's a different type of mentality. It's a different brain wave that you're using. I mean, when I was a good freestyler, because there was a time that I was really good at it, but I had never wrote. I wasn't writing then. All my focus was on just freestyling. And once I started writing, I was like, well, I don't want to be a good freestyler. That's like, what's the fun in that? If I write a good song, people will listen to that for the next 60, 70 years.
But let's say you freestyle in the studio. Does that happen?
It's never really good because you're slurring your words. The whole thing about listening back to something, when you're saying it in the moment and you hear it in the moment, it sounds great. But when you listen back to it, you're like, oh, you slurred your words. You're not really articulating. It might not make sense. It just sounded good in the moment. And especially if you're hitting hot button words or he's describing you, it doesn't matter if you're making any sense. You're just excited that somebody described you in the moment. And you're like, wow, all this stuff is coming out of his head right now. That's the excitement rather than it actually being a song you can play.
So the stuff that you do is mostly scripted, mostly written now.
It's written. I would rather someone listen to my song and listen to it again and listen to it again, listen to it again, listen to it again, rather than just being excited about the one moment.
But now, there's a juxtaposition there in you being a painter, because that's not scripted.
No, it's the same mentality, though, because, the people that you go to a park and they can sketch you right there. A lot of people that I know that can do that don't really take their time and make art and have art shows, and maybe I'm wrong. I'm just talking about the people that I know, but I can't sketch you right here in the moment. But if you give me time.
You call yourself a contemporary painter.
Yes.
So what does that mean? You're not painting still life, are you?
No, I'm not painting still life, and I do portraits of people, but I change a couple of things about what the painting is rather than paint exactly what I see.
So that's an improvisation in there.
Yeah. I feel like there has to be some type of
interpretation.
You're interpreting it your way versus just painting, what you see. And there are a lot of people that can do that are doing amazing art, but it's not interesting to me. I mean, I'm not impressed by that. I want to see somebody make art.
What got you into painting?
I always painted, even when I was a little kid. I think for me personally, like, my mom worked a lot. My dad wasn't around. So, like, For me, painting was like that thing that I got accolades for. So it was like, oh, well, I can get attention doing this. So I would do it all the time. Then it was a certain point where you're like, all right, I don't want to do school anymore. I just want to paint and draw. So I did that, you know, instead. And then soon hip hop became that thing too, you know. Painting never went away. I'll probably always paint. I'll probably always do music in some way, shape, or form. But painting is just a different type of thing that I can expel energy and kind of let my feelings out in a different way.
And painting is a song too.
Yeah.
A canvas can be, I think, construed as an individual creation, just like a song.
Oh yeah, 100%. There's an ending. You know.
Have you used any of them on your album covers or anything like that?
Early one, this record, Electric Company, I did the cover for. But now I've been doing this thing for a couple of years. I go to a bar and I sit at a bar and I draw faces on these bar napkins of the people that are in the room.
Oh, cool.
And then I take those faces and I mash them up all into one face. So there's like a face coming out of here, a face coming out of there. So some of it's like, sometimes they're totem poles or I'm just sticking heads on top of heads. But it's all the drunk faces of the people. I keep the bar napkins and I put all the heads together and stuff like that. So
That's very hip hop.
yeah.
All these different faces, all these different musics, pulling them together into one face.
There
Yeah.
you go.
I just
pulled
I
that
just made that up
analogy.
on the spot.
Yeah, there we
Pretty
go.
good, huh?
There we go.
I just
That's
thought
a
that up all
serious-
by myself.
That's a serious ATB moment right
Joe
there.
didn't help me at all.
No.
It does make sense, though. I think about all the musicians I played with. Lady Lamb, the Beekeeper, Height, Tan Vampires, rappers like Dutch Rebel. It's been a fun ride regardless of anything.
Have you talked to Walter about your love for music and art?
Oh, yeah, Walter's
The combination
like
of the
great artist. Man, he knows I love him, man. I don't have to blow his head up anymore. He knows exactly how
Yeah.
I feel about that dude. He's a great musician, one of the best voices in the city. Like, good dad too.
Oh, you talked about fatherhood in one of your interviews. Is
Yeah,
that
I'm a dad.
parenthood, fatherhood? Is that something that inspires some of your music?
Yes, very much. I mean, the parallel is tough because I'm older than most. Hip hop is funny because seemingly there's an age limit to it, which is unfair because, you know, any other music you get kind of praised for having a long career. Hip hop, they want you to kind of be done at a certain time.
Really? That surprises me.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
You feel like there's an age limit.
There's an age limit. It's weird because it doesn't make any sense because hip hop is still very young. It's
Right,
still,
and so the masters are who
Yeah.
started all these. These are
they're
the
just
gods of
getting
hip-hop.
older. Yeah, I feel like people who are fans of hip hop should be able to have people their age that are rapping and not talking about kid stuff.
Right.
You know, so
Right.
you know,
They're
it's
talking
like,
about
yeah,
what
talking
happens to you when you're 40.
when you're 40 something years old,
Yeah.
and you know, and I think that's a good thing. But it's just one of those weird things that I'm more lucky than most. Most of those cats that I grew up with who did music don't anymore, and here I am still relevant. Being a dad, most of the other guys were worrying about where they're gonna get their next bag of weed. I'm worrying about my kid got suspended from school and I got to go in to speak to the teachers the next day. Or I'm worrying about we haven't gotten any really good shows. You know, how am I going to pay for her school clothes? And all these other kids, like, you know, the younger kid generation.
Yeah, they're not going to get it.
Yeah,
right?
they don't get it. You know, and your life, what's expected of you in your life at 40 is different than what's expected of you at 23.
Tell us what you're doing right now.
Actually, I'm back in the studio. I was back in the studio tomorrow.
What studio? Where are you?
Bridge Sound and Stage. That's the Archetypes spot. That's my partner with Still Gold.
Yeah.
And we're still pushing the record Torch Song, which is, in my opinion, the best thing that we've ever done, or I've ever done in my life. Allowed us to do all these fantastic things that we did this year, like headline the Sinclair and, you know, sell out the shows that we sold out this year and stuff like that. And then we're going to Europe in October.
So the album will be finished before that tour?
No, we're still pushing this record and we're just starting to record.
Oh, okay.
We have like kind of like an EP going. I think we'll be done with the EP by the time that we leave. The record we did is just very important, and it's very important for the times. And pushing it and making people not forget about it and just listen is very important. So that's why we're still pushing that record.
What's
the Torch
Torch?
Song? Torch Song is a record about accountability and equality and love. That's what it's about. The whole record, you know. So
where'd you get the word torch?
Torch song. It's pretty much a song about love towards someone, even if they don't know that you love them. It's often used in folk songs back in the day as like rally cries and stuff like that were considered torch songs, because although you're fighting for a certain thing and you're arguing with a certain person, doesn't mean that the love behind this isn't there.
Love's a good theme lately.
Yeah, it is. I think it's a great theme, especially because of the times that we're in and how very easy it is for us to be separated. But everyone has experienced love, no matter who you are. We need to talk about that a little bit more.
Well, Mo, thank you very much for sitting with us.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate being here.
Good luck with the tour. You got some gigs coming up in the States, though, in Boston.
Yeah, we
too,
have
right?
Oberon late October, which is going to be a lot of fun. We're headlining that as well. It's like a playhouse. Cool part about it is that when we went to have the meeting for it, they said because it is a playhouse, every area is considered a stage. So we can perform on the bar if we wanted. We can perform anywhere in that place. We're gonna go crazy that night. Yes, yeah. We're talking about something really awesome. I don't want to
don't give it away.
Ruin the surprise, but
good.
we got something pretty dope happening. Genres will be crossed that night.
I like crossing genres.
Yeah, I love it. That's what I'm all about.
Yo, this here for all mistreated ladies and backpackers, misfits, little kids who wearing their hat backwards, who live on the block with the weed, give me the therapy, where me and mom would conversate about the wrath of Eric B, and grandpapa would talk about John Lennon and Let It Be. Name my daughter lyrics so she would carry my legacy through wars, famine, disease, dictators, and weaponry. The muddy water she crawled up out of, fueling our destiny. For all the people that fell off along the way, rest in peace, I'm thinking about you every day that I travel in orbit. Been trying to find a better way, cause my view is distorted. Quoted kings who pulled their souls on vinyl records I order. Sorta funny, I'm recording the poems that I've been writing. It's akin to giving birth or Kirk, riding the lightning. All these kids, old folk love stereotyping in line for disproportionate piece of the pie, slicing my aura sort of more like the souls of forgotten Vikings in a land where men stand alone like floating hyphens, or projecting my words like I'm in the crowd and mic is off, and everybody binge watching every episode of Lost. Told myself if I had kids I would be more involved, so I ordered cable and mounted TVs on every wall. Chip on my shoulder is crazy heavy and very tall, hoping that I die slow death to scribble my epilogue. Wondering if Tupac knew the legend was stepping off the light. The pen and I see it right in the world is ours. Bishop in the whip, shook, taking flicks through the gloss. On September 7th, 1996, the world appalls. Couple years later, Shea Pope was locked up in bars. 20 years later, finally free with a better cause. Put my arms around him, I was scared that it was a mirage. Trading stories about my younger days and many bullets dodged. In the bean like Johnny Drama in my entourage. Scars cover my back like the map of a devil's paws. Could've been a better man, now the hell is looming large. I'm throwing darts through the speaker box. Also you can watch the heat, resembles embers that flew from the Molotov. By a Bosnian rebel that was crying out to Allah. All I need is a sweet beat and my wife to give me top. Mo got plenty bop, can't stop, never might have vampire bites. This is what forever's like. Pony boy Curtis teaching kids how to wield a knife. Inhaling death, blowing smoke beneath city lights. Archetype pressing buttons is flying the Enterprise. Inhaling data from the rapper, making men and mice. Rife with all the violence, I'm afraid of the mic device. That's a big in LA, late on a Friday night. Lethal, bomb water splatter at the peak show. Sickest chemotherapy is to all of my people. My ink flow out, quill tip that seeps through the pores of the forlorn mourners who take an interview. Now I watch my children make the same mistakes I used to do. I'm the great pretender, but really I never had a clue. Tears from forgotten soldiers that sprinkled the avenue. I am the soul of Marvin. I'm pretty hungry, man, I'm quite starving. My pen is moving like the world revolving, pretty crazy. My skin And it's dark, my thoughts are dark and begging God to save me. I see the fear and shook ones daily. It ain't all gravy, we ain't all crazy, they ain't all evil. Honestly, man, I just love people. What would you do if you found out your life was not equal? Johnny Cade versus a burning steeple, good lord. I'm confused on why my people love the hood for. Garbage on the street, blood spilling on the floor. We don't own it and it's closed doors, more pain is gonna surface. I'm nervous leaving home, where do I belong? I'm trying to teach my children nowadays to be strong. If I'm the ape, you need to feast your eyes on King Kong. Peace to you and yours, this is Torch Song.
Wherever you may be today, I won't let you down, 'cause I am you and you are me. When I'm walking around, when I'm asleep, you can't go back to what you never leave. I feel you now, I feel you now, I feel you now. I won't let you down.
Find out more about Moe Pope at arclassicrecords.com/STL-GLD and be sure to go see him at Oberon in Cambridge, Mass at the end of October. Check out AmericanRepertoryTheater.org/Oberon for dates. Go to AboveTheBasement.com where you can sign up for our newsletter, listen and subscribe to our podcast, like our Facebook page, follow us on Twitter, and look at all the nice pictures we post on Instagram. We are everywhere. On behalf of Ronnie and myself, thanks for listening. Tell your friends, and remember, Boston music, like its history, is unique. Above the Basement Boston Music and Conversation is recorded at beautiful Woods Hill Table Restaurant in West Concord, Massachusetts. Woods Hill Table is honored to have been awarded 3 stars as the most sustainable restaurant in Massachusetts by the Sustainable Restaurant Association. The food is organic and locally sourced, non-GMO, and is absolutely delicious. Chef Charlie Foster focuses on seasonal ingredients and their own grass-fed livestock raised on the farm at Woods Hill in Bath, New Hampshire. Go to woodshilltable.com for reservations.